BSc Statistics students. In this class, I explain reproduction rates. Reproduction rates, which is this topic comes under measurement of population growth. To reproduction rates are useful to measure the population growth. If you want to study the population growth, reproduction rates are going to be used. Why? You see this. The study of the population growth, which means to find out the tendency of the population, whether it increases or decreases or stable. That is what our intention to study. Whether the population is the tendency of population, whether it is increases, decreases or stable. Now the fertility rates are not sufficient to give an idea about the growth rate of the population because of the following reasons. These are the reasons. The fertility rates we may have in our mind that we think about the fertility rate. The fertility rate cannot include certain factors. Therefore, it cannot be represented as a measure of population or a growth of population. As a measure of population growth of population. You see, these are the reasons. Fertility rates ignores the sex of newly born children. If the newly born children, which are females only, the female baby, then only it again reproduce the children. So therefore, male live births are births, number of births in the formula of the birth rate. In the formula of the birth rate, numerator term is nothing but number of live births or number of births. Number of births, if you are considering the male birth and female birth, both we consider. But whereas if you consider only the female birth, that is only the indication of reproduction. That is called, which are reproduction rates. Capability of reproducing the children again. Reproducing the male or female, reproducing the children. So that is the reason why the fertility rates ignores the sex of newly born children in the birth rates, fertility rates. And secondly, it ignores the mortality factor of newly born children. It is also not includes the mortality patterns. It ignores completely the mortality pattern of newly born children. So these are the two important factors fertility rates not includes or not considering. Therefore, we have to study the population growth and which particular factors. Obviously, these two particular factors are going to be considered, and reproduction rates, that is the population growth, is to be calculated with the help of the reproduction rates. So now you see further some of the important points we have. Obviously, the population increases through the female births. That is our final decision. Population increases through the female births. You have to think in this direction. Which means now, therefore, if there are more female births, the population will grow up and a downward tendency of the population is observed if there are more male births. If there are more female births, population growth can be increased. That population growth is observed. That is, population is increased. Population will increase. And similarly, if there are more male births, the population downward tendency of the population can be observed. That is what the difference. And this justifies the growth of the population depends on sex of the newly born children. That means population growth depends on the sex of the newly born children. It is also one of the important factor. Very, very important factor. So in the fertility rates, we also ignores the mortality of newly born children. That is what we have discussed. It is not possible to form a clear idea about the growth rate of the population without knowing the mortality pattern or conditions of the newly born children, since there is a possibility that a newly born female children may die before reaching the reproductive age group. This is one of the important factors. Even in the consideration of the female baby, that is female births, if you consider, all female births cannot survive in the reproductive age group, that is in the childbearing age group, that is up to 15 years or 20 years. In the age group, when that female baby or female may reproduce again the child. Therefore, you have to consider mortality pattern. So what is the mortality pattern, and what are the mortality conditions for newly born children? That is keeping in view that the female birth. We are not considering the mortality patterns of male birth. That is a different aspect. Now, mortality pattern of the female birth is going to be considered. Female baby. Since if they survive up to the age group, that is up to the 15 years, then only they can reproduce the children. That is the factor. You hope you understand. This is what the important factor. And now, by considering this, some of these measures which are useful to the population growth, based on and these are the two particular points, important points we have discussed, and based on these points, these are some of the measures we discuss in detail later. These are some of the measures. 4 important measures we have: crude rate or natural increase. Crude rate of natural increase. Second one, Pearl's vital index. Pearl's vital index. Third one, gross reproduction rate. Fourth one, net reproduction rate. In this lesson, I discuss crude rate of natural increase. It is very simple. Crude rate of natural increase is CBR minus CDR. What is CBR? CBR is crude birth rate. CDR is crude death rate. So difference we calculate CBR minus CDR. It gives the net increase or decrease in the population by considering the births and deaths during a particular period. It is also one such simplest measure of the growth of the population. It is known as crude rate of natural increase. It is very simple. Hope you understand. Second one, we discussed the second one. This is Pearl's vital index. The Pearl's vital index, it is going to be defined as number of births in a given time period T divided by number of deaths in the given time period T multiplied by 1000. That is BT by DT into 100. No, not 1000, it is 100. Rate is going to be calculated for 100. That is BT by DT. BT is nothing but CBR, crude birth rate, divided by CDR, crude death rate, into 100. This is nothing but a simple measure of Pearl's vital index. It is a ratio of birth rate and death rate, crude birth rate and crude death rate. So therefore, these are the two important measures I have discussed here, and remaining two measures, GRR and NRR, I discuss separately in another particular class. Gross reproduction rate and net reproduction rate. Hope you understand. This is what the two important measures of measures I have discussed for the population growth, for measuring the population growth, which are called reproduction rates. Actually, reproduction rates are the two which are GRR and NRR we discuss in the I discuss in the next particular session in the next class. Hope you understand. Thank you.